Human infants are born in an incredibly underdeveloped state. The cost the mothers pay for that is that the neonate is so dependent that they need 100% care. That means that the impetus of agreeableness in combination with negative emotion, that's the two feminine personality traits, high negative emotion and high agreeableness. The purest expression of that is give the suffering infant what it needs right now, no matter what. And that's perfectly legitimate for 6 months. For 6 months, It's the right attitude. And it's a very, very powerful instinct. It's the maternal instinct upon which the human species depend. The question is, what happens when that pathologizes? Well, the first is you treat a 1-year-old like a 6-month-old. Or you treat a 5-year-old like a 6-month-old. You just give in to whatever they want right now. Well, that means that you start to interfere with their development. That's where the devouring mother comes in. And that's very, very bad. That's how you make useless, entitled, narcissistic, privileged, dependent, and terrified children, right? Who also hate their parents. But here's something even worse than that, which no one will talk about and which no one will contend with. That maternal instinct is hyper powerful, and it's the defining characteristic of femininity. The question that our culture is facing now is, what happens when women enter into the political arena and that instinct doesn't find its proper place? And the answer is, as far as I can tell, is that childless women infantilize everything.
Yep.
Yeah, well, God, Michael,
Boy.
If that's true, we are in serious trouble. Like, you know, because we know the most woke disciplines, for example, in the universities are the ones with the highest percentage of women. We don't know what sort of political psychopathologies will be specific to females, and we bloody well know now. And part of that's that infantilization of everything. And then there's another associated issue, which is women are also very good at spotting predators. Okay, if you have an infant and you misidentify a predator, you know, you call something a predator that isn't, whatever, you protect your baby, it's not a problem. It's kind of hard on the misidentified predator. And so part of that cluster B proclivity of the psychopathological woman to cry wolf continually and profit thereby is also a manifestation of that maternal instinct. You oppose me, you must be a predator. This is the terrible thing about the devouring mother pathology is, if you're a predator, no punishment is too harsh for you. And so that's another problem that we have no idea what to do with.
The men have abdicated their authority, abdicated their responsibility, the core responsibility of the father at a minimum. Protect your kids. Protect your kids from these deeply creepy doctors that are trying to prey on your child. What you're seeing in these files are conversations about how to treat people who are experiencing gender distress as ages as young as 10 years old, 14 years old. On the video, one of the people literally says, well, we just want to provide that care and comfort right now. Well, you're talking about lifelong sterility and loss of sexual function. And then similarly, you see this Dr. Marcy Bowers, who's operating on Jazz Jennings, obsessed with doing surgical procedures. She says, no, I hate it. I hate it. You can see her. She's like, I got to get rid of that because it's got to look this right way. There's a conversation about whether to perform genital surgeries on somebody that's suffering from symptoms like schizophrenia, breast elimination, double mastectomies for girls as young as 13, 14, 15 years old, and genital surgeries, which are, of course, irreversible, including on adolescents. These files put to rest any doubts anybody should have that what is happening is one of the greatest medical mistreatment scandals in human history. The people that are performing these mistreatments are aware that they are not getting what's called informed consent.
Inexcusable. I've never seen anything like this. I'm absolutely appalled and ashamed of my therapist colleagues, for example, of not being rioting in the streets because of this. You might say, well, people with gender dysphoria are more likely to commit suicide. It's like, no. Depressed and anxious people are more likely to commit suicide. Now we've appended another lie to it. Some of this distress is attributable to confusion about gender. There's no difference between confusion about gender and confusion about identity. right? Those are the same thing. And everybody who seeks psychological treatment has confusion about identity. That's why they seek treatment. So you can't just take all that and rename it gender and think that you can get away with it, although apparently you can. So that's appalling on the conceptual side. It's inexcusable. And what do they recommend? They don't recommend the minimal necessary intervention. So the clinical literature 6 years ago was absolutely clear with regard to the small number of cases of gender dysphoria that emerged in early childhood. Very rare, 1 in 3,000, very rare. Leave them the hell alone till they're 18. Most of them turn out to be gay, and 90% of them, and the existence of that final 10% is highly debatable, accept the physical reality of their embodiment. The rule is, don't do anything stupid. Just wait. Bad treatment is worse than no treatment. But no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do the opposite. We're going to take the most extreme possible, imaginable surgical intervention. And then we're going to combine that with the most extreme possible, imaginable hormonal intervention. And no matter what it costs other people. Okay, so why is that bad? Well, if you betray your future self, you die. And if you can't get along with other people, then you die. You can't engage in reciprocal altruism, for example. So what you try to do when you socialize children is that you extend their purview so that as their cortex integrates, they're able to regulate their impulsive whim in accordance with their future self and with other people. So that's like the definition of maturity.